Let's make my first OLIGHT review a good one. You're like, why would you make a bad one? Well, I've hooked up with goinggear.com for this, and they sent me a bunch of OLIGHTs, including this one, the R50 Seeker, which sounds like a missile, but is actually the bomb. You're like, when was the last time anyone ever called anything the bomb and sounded cool? The R50 Seeker is a cool light because of what it does. It puts out a maximum of 2500 lumens with a single emitter and a single cell. And if you're on budget Lifeform, you're like, so what? I built like 2 lights that could do that last week. Sorry, flashlight humor. The R50 Seeker is a small light for what it does, so let's go over the dimensions and see. Like the overall length and the weight with a battery. The R50 uses a Cree XHP50 emitter. It's on the closer to daylight side of neutral white, not near as cool as my Nikkor TM16 GT. It's covered in a black Type 3 anodization and has a shallow orange peel reflector, which translates into bright, floody light. The R50 comes with a special OLIGHT protected 26650 4500 milliamp hour lithium ion cell, which OLIGHT says is special for this light. Now I know this battery won't charge in my standard Nikkor charger, but that's okay because the R50 Seeker comes with a micro USB cable and a charging brick, so you can plug it into the tail cap and let it charge. Yeah, there's a built-in charger. So everything you need to operate the light comes in the box. The light, a battery, charging cord, and plug. Charging the battery with the included power supply took a little over 6 hours after being completely drained, which for the included battery was just under 3 volts, completely drained. Oh yeah, and you get a lanyard. All right, when charging the light, the port glows red on the back, and it glows green when it's fully charged. And since the battery is protected and made for the light, you won't have to worry about over discharging. Okay, so how about those 4 modes? Now I measured these with my DIY device and OLIGHTs. Manufacturer specs are on the screen too. First is low, which is kind of bright for low, but I guess you didn't buy this light for low modes. Then is mid. Then is high. Then is turbo, which is probably why you bought this light, unless you have a compulsion to buying flashlights. The user interface is operated by a single electronic switch. You can always unscrew the tail cap slightly to prevent accidental activation for longer term storage, or if you put it in like a bag or something. Or you can do the electronic lockout and press and hold the power switch for several seconds. The light turns low first and then will shut off. You release the button, and then when you try to hit it again, the switch will turn red saying, hey dummy, you can't turn me back on, until you press and hold for another few seconds to release the electronic lock. Now this keeps you from hitting buttons while it's in your bag, or you, again, unscrew the tail cap. The light has mode memory. Press it once to turn it on. It will start in the last mode you used except for turbo. Now release the button and press and hold to scroll through the 3 main modes from low to high, and then it loops around again. Press it once to turn it off. Turbo needs to be activated with a double click from on or off. You can't get to it in the regular mode loop. Press once to turn off from turbo, or press and hold to go to some of the other modes. To access low mode from off, just press and hold until you see low and then release. If you hold it too long now, you go into the electronic lockout mode, so whenever a light comes on, you see low mode, let go. After releasing the switch, press and hold again to scroll through all 3 modes just like before. Now to get to strobe mode, click 3 times rapidly from on or off. Either press the button once to turn it off or press it to go into non-strobe modes. Okay, so how about runtime tests? And you're like, fun time tests, bro. Hey, watch the sarcasm there. First is turbo. At about 30 seconds in, I measured 2,496 lumens per the FL1 standards. Then at about 2 minutes, it begins a step down, stabilizes at about 6 minutes to my measurement of about 850 lumens. It levels out and runs pretty constant for about 2 hours, then steps down again around the 2 hour and 24-ish minute mark, and the light does a hard shut off at about 2.5 hours in. I checked battery voltage after this test and found the battery was 2.9-ish volts, which it should be because it has built-in protection. Okay, now high runtime. High hits its first brightness drop about 15 minutes in. It drops down again about 2 hours and 23 minutes in after running at a pretty constant brightness, and then cuts off about 2.5 hours in again, sort of like turbo mode. Then there's medium, which runs pretty solidly with some brightness decline over 5 hours and 39 minutes. It's a nice, long, reasonable runtime and makes a great mode if you're going to be using your light for a while, but don't need extreme brightness. Now the beam shot section, where I pit the R50 against big bright lights and a few smaller ones, so you can see where the R50 fits in. While the R50 isn't tiny, it's small compared to other big lights here. First is the R50. It's floody and bright. The light doesn't have a ton of throw, but since it has a shallow orange peel reflector and the emitters aren't considered throwy either, this is what you'd expect. It's designed for a lot of light in a small package in your immediate area. Next is the Nikkor TM16 GT, a brighter and throwier light, and a whole lot bigger too. These lights are not designed to do the same thing, although I do appreciate the Nikkor has a much lower low mode. Back to the R50 for a second. See? Okay, now next is the trusty Ace Beam K40M. I've had this one a while. It's brighter and throwier, but a lot bigger than the OLIGHT. Then back to the R50 again, just to make the video longer. I mean, the comparison easier. Next is the Convoy L6, another huge light, throwier and brighter. The R50 still isn't bad. It's a lot smaller of a light. But let's drop down to lights that are around the same size as the R50 so you can see why it's a cool light. First is the Nikkor EC4 GT, which I just reviewed recently. It's much throwier than the OLIGHT, so you get longer distances, but it doesn't light up the area closer to you like the R50 does. Then there's the Nikkor MH20 GT. It's less throwy than the EC4, but only a little over 1,000 lumens. The R50 still wins in bright, floody light. And there's my Zebralight SC600 Mark III. Not as bright as the R50 for sure, and not quite as throwy either. Oh, and by the way, there's no visible PWM on any of the R50's output modes. Then here's an OLIGHT S2 Copper, rounding it all out, something that I will be reviewing soon. It's not designed to be a throwy light though. Alright, cool, moving on. The R50 is waterproof and dustproof to IPX8 standards, which means it's safe from most weather and submersible up to 2 meters. It's drop proof up to 1 meter. Of course, make sure you keep the O-rings lubed and the rear charging port seal covered, which is also great life advice. Okay, so why the R50? Some people need a lot of floody light. That means it's a great indoor and short range, well, not that short range, outdoor high brightness light. It's tail standable, so you can plant it on a solid surface and point it at the ceiling for some indirect work light in a dark area. Up until recently, high brightness lights this small were few and far between. It comes with everything you need to get started. If you like this review and like this light, please buy it at goinggear.com, which is located in Georgia, or just visit their store. They provided this light for review. I got a whole bunch of stuff coming up, so please subscribe to my channel, give the video a thumbs up, and make sure you go outside and wander around with your flashlights instead of watching YouTube videos. Hey, thanks for watching.